We are grateful. We grieve. We are hope-filled. Gratitude, grief, and hope. The people of Resurrection wrote a community litany in this form to articulate how we are at this time. It was during the month of July. We used this for online worship, and it was embodied with accompanying actions and bookended with a line of song. I'll use a similar format now. I am grateful that Resurrection had good structures and procedures in place before the pandemic, as well as a church council populated by people with good leadership skills, common goals, and the trust and respect of the congregation. Within the system, leaders were practiced in assertive decision-making. I am grateful that the congregation had a fairly up-to-date membership list and an operating email distribution list, with all council members having email. The congregation before the pandemic had dabbled in a donate button, a website, Facebook group, blog, and YouTube uploads. I am most grateful to be surrounded by a church leadership team who supports and trusts me and gives me the freedom and the space to lead. All this helped us pivot quickly. The church pivoted quickly because in reality, the pandemic is much like death, not incremental change, but forced and immediate. And the church is practiced in death, in grief walking, and in the hope of resurrection. As we grieved meeting face to face, weekly hugs, laughter, or tears over coffee, singing together, celebrating Easter Eucharist, grieving the ease with which we went about general operating procedures. The church, who may have been a little stale, we remembered who we are. Our perspective was shaken to focus on the gospel, continually walking and reinterpreting the continuum of death to life. We're keepers of a sacred story, ancient stories and liturgies that have stood the test of time, purveyors of rituals moving from life to death to life. When we remember who we are, we set to the task of doing what the people of God have done through the centuries. We structured time within a sacred framework. We communicated with God and each other in intimate, positive, and consistent mediums. We shared the gospel with our neighbors. In Halifax, the week began on Tuesday with 2-bit and itty-bitty Bible study. Wednesday, a heartfelt letter and communication from a church council member went out. Thursday, part 2, shared responses for 2-bit Bible study. Friday saw Friday Friends, a story with Pastor Kimber, and on Sunday, online live worship and links sent by email. Each day, the music director marked time with posts of a daily reading and a hymn for the day. In the church garden, a giant prayer web was presented as a place for the wider community to weave in their prayers, gratitudes, griefs, hopes. And a neighbor-to-neighbor clothesline allowed neighbors to send hopeful messages to each other, along with care notes on topics like depression, stress, praying during crisis, and making sense of life. The gospel was applied, lived by the community, and it was expressed through managing anxiety and deepening discipleship. I am hope-filled because there are a myriad of ways to tell and to live the Jesus story. Stepping out of a rut, normal practice, we have embraced flexibility in the telling of the Jesus story, and we are experiencing the story anew as applied to shifting times. Multi-mediums continue to expand the ability to walk paths of grief, holding virtual hands and giving water for the journey. I am hope-filled, for there is an increased honesty among colleagues and church leaders that is refreshing. We have communicated more fully with each other and are more efficient with our time. Priorities have shifted. Lifestyle by design is a greater possibility as individuals and communities let go of the things that don't really matter and shed what others have asked of us or said we should, would, could, or ought to do. I am hope-filled because the reset button has been pushed and there's freedom to live the gospel by being authentic to self and contributing to the personality of the faith community we call home. So too, the church becomes authentic. I am hope-filled. As communities and individuals witness and participate in resurrection, as old things pass away, the church identifies and articulates its purpose in the present and embraces the essentials of living faith, embodying the gospel to bring wholeness to all in the commonwealth of God.